A grey fleet refers to when an employee is required or allowed by an employer to use their own vehicle for work purposes. Now, under Australian law, that vehicle would still be considered a place of work, and the employer still has a duty of care for the employee's safety. Increasingly, we're finding employers are either allowing or requiring their employees to use their own vehicles for work, but they're not taking any steps to ensure their safety or ensure that they have capability to drive the vehicle well. They're actually simply not aware that they have a risk in terms of their people driving their own cars as part of their job.
I think the key message is that they need to identify and acknowledge that there is liability under legislation in terms of grey fleet. First of all, identify the extent to which they may have people using private vehicles, and then determine, if they are, what sort of vehicles are they using, is it fit for purpose, and what sort of policies and procedures do they have around when the use of a private vehicle is appropriate to use for those work purposes. The potential fines across Australia range from around the $1.5 million mark for an organisation. In more extreme examples of reckless behaviour, that can go up to $3 million, and for individuals that could include a jail term of up to 5 years.
It's about understanding their obligations fundamentally. So we often have conversations with business owners and directors where they haven't even got their minds across the fact that they have an equal duty of care for privately owned vehicles that are used for work purposes. Once that's cut through, it's then a question of putting in the appropriate policies and procedures and systems. And we see examples where it doesn't really work for organisations because they have missed the fourth element. And the fourth element is to actually get engagement from staff and engaging line managers in the process.
We had grown significantly from about 3 people to about 65 in 6 years. You know, we had 1 car to start with, and then 2, and then 3, and next minute, you know, your fleet's up around 20, and you've got people out on the road. You don't even know if they've got licences. There's no guidelines around what they're doing or the management of those vehicles, and I think it very quickly hit home to us that, yeah, whilst growth is a good thing, it can cause problems when it comes to policies and procedures. Grey fleet experts helped us through that process. And we just kind of took it in little bite-sized chunks. So yeah, it wasn't that daunting once we really got down, and they understood what it is that we needed, and they pretty much tailored a policy for our benefit. People knew what we were doing. We communicated to the business what we were doing, why we were doing it. So when we rolled it out, it was just a matter of giving them the finer detail about what we required of them going forward.
The grey fleet issue is relatively new and is still being fully understood. So the opportunity here is for employers to better understand the risks and challenges that people driving their own vehicles for work presents, and what steps can they take to try and ensure people's safety and mitigate that risk. For most industries, driving is the most dangerous activity that an employee will undertake. Over 60% of workplace fatalities involve a vehicle. That means that employers need to be aware of their duty of care, and they need to make this issue a top priority for their business.